Okay guys, we're going to tie a pheasant tail nymph. It's a common nymph used for like trout. It's probably one of the most common nymphs. So we're going to get started here, tying this on a size 10 nymph hook. So, using rusty brown ultra thread. Alright, so we're going to start this off with a jam knot. We're going to wrap our thread all the way down to about there, maybe a little more. We're going to tie in our tail, pheasant tail. Try to choose some fibers close to the bottom here. These tend to be the longest. You want about anywhere from 6 to 8. It's about what you want. So, try to trim those off as close to that as you can, as close to the feather as you can. Now you take that, and one thing I need to talk about here, a lot of people try to get more length out of their fly and they come too far down here, and then your tail's going to be sitting like this, like a dry fly would. You would try to have your tail flush with the hook shank, or just a little bit down. So leave plenty of space right there. Want your tail to be about that long. Now bring this back and go over it. This is where you'll tie in your wire. I'm using this beading wire I found. 50 yards for $1. It's gold, so you can't beat that. Usually I'll use copper wire, but just whatever. Tie that in. Now you'll take your pheasant tail and wrap that over your hook shank. Careful not to cut it on your hook barb here while you're wrapping it. Now we're just going to take this and tie that off. Take that excess and trim it. Now we're going to take the gold wire or copper wire, just make sure it's kind of a fine wire, and wrap it under the hook shank. Go the opposite direction. If you go the opposite direction, it'll keep the pheasant tail from unwrapping if it breaks, if one of the strands breaks. And I like to keep my wire pretty close together. It gives it more flash and protects it a little better. So you gotta kind of take your time, make sure it's even on both sides. This is known as ribbing, what I'm doing here. So I just keep wrapping it all the way through there. Now I just go ahead and trim it and then tie it off. Tie that off real good. Finish trimming it. Now what you want to do is take some more pheasant tail and this time take about 10 fibers. Trim them. Now, just take them like this. This is where it was connected to the feather, and tie it in like this. Now trim that. Now you can take some dubbing, or you can, traditionally you're supposed to use peacock herl for this fly, so that's what I'm going to go ahead and do. Take that, get your thread up here to the bead, and wrap your peacock herl all the way forward till you get to the bead. And then tie that off. Now take this that you just tied in, fold it over the top, and tie it just with a tight wrap. Go ahead and trim that. So a lot of people tie this different. This is how I do it, so it's just how I do it. So now you want to take some more of your peacock or your pheasant tail. Take about five strands, maybe 6, and you're going to tie. Make sure these are the tips of the feathers. You don't want to tie it in by the base. You want to have these tips hanging out like this. So tie that in on the sides, right by the bead. Make 2 loose wraps, and then you can pull. You can tug on this to get your wing to the right length. When you got it where you want it, just do 1 or 2 tight wraps, trim that. Typically you want to have pretty short, your little wings, you want them to be pretty short. You definitely want them to be a little shorter than the tail is. Okay. Do the same thing on the other side here. So you can see this is a little bit a little bit too high up, so all you gotta do is grab each side, just kind of pull it down to the side. And now all it's left to do is pull on this till you get it, match it up with your other side. And once you get it matched up, just do about 2 tight wraps. Trim that as close as you can. Then make a wrap right behind the bead. And this is where you will finish it up with your whip finish. And trim that, leave a little bit. And that's a pheasant tail